Legends never die. When the world is calling you.
在武汉打比赛的话，就是肯定会有武汉很多粉丝过来支持我，然后会让我打得越来越好吧，然后我也会成为武汉选手的骄傲的。
Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die. They become a part of you.
The most positive theme to Worlds that I've always seen is that whatever happened before in the year has no impact to what happens now.
Relentless, you survive.
从我最开始第一次进到世界赛到现在，一共是4次了，拿到过2次亚军的嘛，然后觉得每一次都差那么一点点，所以说就觉得是可以拿到冠军的，但是每次都差那么一点点。
Not having anything to show internationally is a big thorn in my side. I read comments like how Bjergsen's not considered a legend until he does something internationally, and I can't argue with that.
저희는 저랑 프레이형은 항상 SKT한테 이제 롤드컵을 우승하는 업적을 만들어주는데 공헌이 된 느낌이잖아요. 왜냐면 저희는 늘 졌기 때문에. 여태껏 제가 실패를 해왔기 때문에 정말 이를 갈고 저뿐만 아니라 모든 팀원들을 다 열심히 이를 갈게 만들어서 꼭 혼심을 다해서 이번 연도는 꼭 우승을 해보겠습니다.
Legends never die. They're written down in eternity.
전설이 된다는 자체가 애초에 그냥 뭐 e스포츠에 이름을 남긴 거죠. 엄청 잘해서 계속 좋은 폼 계속 보여주고 그걸 꾸준히 유지하고 그러다 보면 이름이 남겨지고 저도 그런 선수가 되길 원하거든요.
사람들은 저를 이기면 전설이 된다 이렇게 말씀을 하시는데 저는 그건 아니라고 생각하거든요. 저도 처음에 데뷔했을 때 제가 앰비션 선수를 꺾고 오랫동안 1등 자리를 유지해왔잖아요. 그렇게 해서 사람들이 전설이라고 많이 말씀을 해주시는데 그런 것처럼 저 같은 사람을 여러 번 꺾어야 전설이 된다고 생각합니다.
在全球总决赛，我对传奇的定义就是一个人完成了一些别人不可能完成的成就，我觉得这个就是传奇。
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Wuhan, China for opening day of the World's 2017 group stage. Over the next 5 weeks, 16 teams from regions all across the globe will fight for the Summoners Cup as the players get ready to step on stage in front of an electric crowd here in Wuhan Sports Center Gymnasium. As we saw in that opening tease, it's all about finding the legends here on the Rift. FLICKR, no doubt, is one of them, but who will be the one to contend him this year? Who might make a case individually or as a team to take the crown away from SK Telecom and become the new champions of the Rift? Time now, though, to head down to the LPL's Red Dawn to introduce the team.
英雄联盟全球总决赛，现场所有的召唤师们，拿出你们的热情，让我感受一下，好吗？大家好，我是任栋。那经过了一个赛季的征战，16支来自世界各大赛区的顶尖豪门将会在这里向冠军再次发起冲击。现在所有的战队都已经准备就绪了，让我们欢迎战队登场。首先有请 A 组战队。
我们恭喜 EDG 居然在 LPL 的决赛上面完成了让2追3。
倒下了，但是主堡最终没有人防守的情况下面，我们要恭喜 AXQ。
Cloud9 will find their 3-0 victory and punch their ticket to the main group event at Worlds 2017.
首先有请3次世界冠军得主，来自于 LCK 赛区的 SKT。
Consecutive world champions SKT here to defend their title again. They may be second seed, but few would look past them as the big favorites for Worlds 2017.
Again, the perennial powerhouse is here. They'll have to put that trophy back up for grabs, see if they can defend it and move
再
on.
次欢迎
Repeat.
SKT 战队。谢谢 ，Thank you。接下来，让我们请出的是来自于 LMS 赛区曾4次入围全球总决赛的赤色天马 AHQ。
AHQ Esports Club, no slouches when it comes to experience. This is their 4th consecutive Worlds appearance for this organization and this team.
And with a
接
consistent
下来，让我
roster.
们请出的是北美 LCS 赛区第5次入围全球总决赛的 Cloud9。
Cloud9, the perennial Worlds contenders here from North America. They were the best performing team last year, and they're looking to improve upon it here in 2017.
Sticking on that streak, but all of them since season
接下来
3.
将要出场的是来自于本土 LPL 赛区4次入围全球总决赛、5次 LPL 冠军得主 EDG。
And you can hear it in the crowd, the true hometown heroes. Clear Love from Wuhan himself, the most decorated team the LPL has ever seen.
再一次感谢所有 A 组的战队的到来，感谢你们的到来，谢谢 ，Thank you。接下来让我们请出的是 B 组战队。
Coming into the 2017 Summer Split, Immortal singing a different song.
But it is 1, 2, 3, the coup de grace, and Fnatic are moving on to the groups here at Worlds 2017.
首先有请的是来自于欧洲 LCS 赛区6次入围全球总决赛，并曾斩获首届全球总决赛冠军头衔的 Fnatic。
Former kings of Europe, Fnatic have made their way through play-ins to make a crash landing here at Worlds.
Reckless knows to hold up the loves, the heart side as well. He knows how to make the crowd
接着
happy.
让我们欢迎来自于 GPL 赛区2次 GPL 冠军得主 GEM。
Now, they may not be the favorites of the group, but without a doubt, the Gigabyte Marines, they captured the hearts of fans across the world for their performance at MSI, earning the 1st seed for Southeast Asia in the GPL.
紧接着，让我们请出的是代表 LCS 北美赛区首次入围全球总决赛的 Immortals。
Immortals rebuilding from spring, massive improvement with the addition of Smithy in summer. This team has come so far and are looking for world success.
Breaking out the yellow jerseys too. I
Looking
like it.
classy.
接下来，让我们欢迎来自于韩国 LCK 赛区夏季赛新科冠军龙珠战队。
2 years in a row, Prey and Gorilla enter Worlds as the first seed, but on a different organization with a different roster. They are now the experienced duo that have to steady these young players with very little international experience.
再一次感谢所有的 B 组战队，感谢你们的到来，谢谢 ，Thank you。 接下来，让我们请出的是 C 组战队。
EU LCS title, G2 Esports are the best team in Europe.
RNG 成为 LPL 赛区第1支进入世界总决赛的队伍。哇，让我们恭喜 RNG， 恭喜 RNG！
1907 Fenerbahçe dünyanın en iyi takımlarından biri. 1907 Fenerbahçe dünyanın en iyi 16 takımı arasında.
首先有请的是来自于 LPL 赛区2016年全球总决赛8强战队 RNG。
You thought the cheers for Clear Love were going to be loud. It's going to match for Uzi himself. He is the legend of this arena.
接着，让我们欢迎连续夺得最近4届 LCS 欧洲联赛冠军的 G2 战队。
The undisputed kings of Europe, G2, coming off a second place finish at MSI, are looking to extend that dominance to the world stage. and see if they can make something happen.
接下来，让我们欢迎土耳其 TCL 联赛夏季赛新科冠军，从入围赛突出重围的1907费内巴切。
The Turkish representative also making their way through plans, a surprise upset, but led by Frozen. They are an explosive team and fun to watch.
接下来，我们将要请出的是2016年全球总决赛亚军，来自于 LCK 的三星战队。
Samsung Galaxy once again crushing the dreams of KT Rolster. No super team from them at Worlds this year, and they were runners-up last year. They only have to go one better to finish their mission.
再次感谢所有 C 组战队的到来，谢谢 ，Thank you。紧接着，让我们欢迎 D 组战队出场。
我们也要恭喜2017年夏季总 LMS 的总冠军闪电狼 Flash Wolf。
TSM cement themselves as the greatest team North America has ever seen, and they are once again your North American champions.
The damage is real, and that is going to be the Misfits. And for this team, things are looking oh so good.
所以这时候就是让我们恭喜 WE 可以拿下了这把6-5以3比0。
首先，让我们欢迎7次全勤入围全球总决赛，来自于北美 LCS 的 TSM。
The undisputed greatest North American team of all time, looking for that world success to cement themselves as
紧接着，
legends.
让我们有请4次制霸 LMS 赛区，曾在2015年入围全球总决赛8强的闪电狼战队。
Consistent greatness for TSM, consistent greatness for Flash Wolves. 4 LMS split wins in a row. They're back again, and they're looking to improve on last year's.
接着，让我们欢迎来自欧洲 LCS 赛区首次来到全球总决赛舞台的 Misfits。
Now this is the surprise team out of the European region, from challenger to the 2nd seed at Worlds in just 1 year.
紧接着，让我们请出的是来自于本土 LPL 赛区的传统豪门，欢迎 TWE。
It's been 5 years since the prodigal sons of China have disappeared from the world spotlight, but they finally return, and the crowd welcomes them.
再次欢迎所有 D 组战队的到来，谢谢 ，Thank you。 英雄志逐传奇，2017英雄联盟全球总决赛现在开始。
Those are the 16 teams looking to make their case for best in the world this year at the League of Legends World Championships in 2017. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson, joined by Indiana Frosker in black, Chris Papa Smithy Smith, and Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley. It's been 12 months, a full calendar year, and we're back looking for our next legend. How excited are you guys?
I'm back on my home turf. I'm just welcoming you guys at this point.
It's like a kid in a candy shop, man. I mean, it's the beginning of the group stage. So excited to be here.
I mean, the crowd certainly has their favorites, but there's going to be new stars, new favorites built. It's the first day, but there's going to be so much after this.
And of course, we are also joined by some of our international broadcast partners. We have friends from China, of course, as well as the CB Lull joining us. Going to get a look at some of their stations here as we're trying to bring this truly global event to the entirety of the world. All of these regions looking to make their mark on the world stage. Now, before we take a look at the teams, let's remind everyone of the format here at Worlds 2017. The teams will play 6 matches during the group stage, going up against their group opponents in a double round robin. From there, the top 2 teams from each group will advance to the knockout stage, where a win in a best-of-5 series qualifies you for the next round.
And we're already in the thick of it. We've been 2 weeks into the play-in stage. We've got 4 teams that advanced to the group stage, so we went from top 24 to top 16.
There you have it, top 16. Let's break down the strength of our competitors, starting with Group A, which features 4 teams with a long history in this tournament specifically.
And that's the crazy thing. You can see it on the screen. We're talking 3 minimum appearances for each of these teams. They often fit in each other's groups very often. We've seen these matchups before, but now we get to see it with a whole new meta and a whole new crowd.
And anytime you're talking about a group with the 3-time world champions, you have to talk about SKT. This team is unrivaled in League of Legends history, and I think it's going to be a race for second place behind them.
I mean, that said, I do want to give SKT a lot of their credit, but they didn't come out of champions as the #1 seed. There are some cracks in the armor right there, and maybe this group can start to pave away a blueprint to how that can be exploited in the future.
Of course, we take a look at Group B. There's a lot of exciting matchups to look forward to, specifically in the top lane. Of course, eyes go straight to Longzhu's Khan in the top lane.
I mean, you have to, right? That's the big story this year has been, specifically summer season, because remember, it wasn't even the entire year. Khan has come on super strong, taken on all comers. Korea has famously been known for their top lane strength since the days of Mark Noon and Impact many years ago. And now here in Korea, we have Khan, who has been dominant. You can see his stats on the screen. But to me, the big thing about Khan is he started the split well, but so many younger players or so many newer players to the LCK stage have made a good debut. But I think, like everyone, you're like, okay, when are the wheels going to fall off? He's facing Smeb now. He's facing QV now. When is he still going to come back to earth? It never happened. Khan only got stronger.
And I think the most amazing part about it is he's doing it, making his own meta. He's playing carry tops in a world where almost everyone is on tanks, and he's kind of enforcing his will on his opponents.
I mean, we're effectively watching the rise or the possible ascension of another superstar. You know, he took down FLICKR once. Can he do it again? But there's no slouch in other competition. He's going to have to face across from Flame and Soaz in this group.
Now, of course, being the #1 seed from Korea, a lot of people will look at them to top the group. And so looking at the other 3 teams as they fill out, we, of course, got Immortals from the North American LCS and Fnatic, a very experienced team when it comes to the world stage. And then the surprise in Gigabyte Marines from MSI. I mean, these guys came in and excited everyone with their style and their vigor.
I talk a lot to the Gigabyte Marines coach. My favorite quote from him is, you don't need knowledge if you have imagination. So if that sets you up to any type of table that the Gigabyte Marines are going to turn over, like, prepare yourselves.
And if Longzhu has a key player in Khan, you have to look at the Gigabyte Marines and talk about Levi. This guy has similar stats to Khan in his role being a standout. And one team we've got builds around their top laner. It's insane in this meta to build around your jungler as well, and yet Gigabyte Marines have made it work.
Of course, you know, Fnatic from the EU LCS, they made it through in the play-ins, did drop a game there, but with the experience that they have, we've heard Reckless talk about what he expects of himself on the international stage. We'll see if they can make their mark.
We're already starting to see a diversified style from Fnatic as well. The big strength of them is the fact when they can carry from every single lane. Caps was able to show up, Reckless was consistent, so Fnatic fans should feel good about this.
Pushing ourselves ahead to Group C. Let's take a look at the teams we got here. To me, this is the group that has no clear favorites.
And it's such a tough group. I mean, this is the position for G2 that TSM was in last time. They did not make it out, and 4 of the 6 times where there has been a Korean and a Chinese team in a group together, they are the ones to make it out. So G2, best team from Europe, they are in tough in Group C.
And you have RNG and Samsung there. They were in the group of death, Group D, last year. But the thing to take away is you also have 1907 Fenerbahçe, who are in this spot where when you're playing against this team, if you drop even a single game, given how strong and how close we expect the heads-to-heads to be for the other 3 teams, you drop a single game and you might be kissing goodbye your chance to make the quarters.
That tiny margin of error. There's also the huge stylistic mismatch. You know, you have G2, Samsung, and even Fenerbahçe to an extent where they kind of play a patient, methodical, calculated play style, and then you've got the sprinters in RNG just trying to blast off the finish line.
And let's not forget, we talk about accolades. We talk about the 3-time champs in SK Telecom T1, but in this group, we have the runners-up of last year's Worlds in Samsung Galaxy and the runners-up at MSI. So the 2 next most decorated teams within the last calendar year are sitting here in Group C. Let's push ahead to the final group, though, in Group D, where we have the LPL's Team WE looking to build on their performance from that play-in stage.
I mean, for me, this is kind of the group of dark horses. We don't really know what form we're going to get from Flash Wolves, what form we're going to get from Misfits. Team WE had a very slow start in play-on, so maybe looking shaky there, and it really just looks like paved gold for TSM.
And I mean, for TSM, for North American fans, you have to feel if there's a group for them to get out, this is the one. People are expecting them not only to get through, but they're expecting dominance. That is what people want from this team who, you know, failed last year in Worlds, didn't get out of groups. It's the same team back again. They have accrued more international experience, and they're looking to show what they have.
Yeah, my heart dropped for a moment there when you said paved gold. As the NA fans, I'm like, don't jinx us right now. Papa Smithy, though, what's your
low
take
expectations
here on Group D? Exactly, low expectations.
I mean, I was there at the group draw show, and this was very instantly talked about as the group of life. But
yeah.
As I've had time to ruminate and hear about what's happening and look at where the meta is going, I'm not convinced that, say, Flash Wolves, for example, won't pose a pretty significant threat in this group. I think Misfits also could take games, so I think the guaranteed win for TSM that people thought was their initial gut reaction might change.
Again, you talked about Immortals, right? The rebuilding of the roster from spring to summer and qualifying for Worlds Misfits. The EU organization that's done a similar thing from Challenger to Worlds in just a year. So this is the team that, you know, for me, I'm wondering what their inexperience, rather, on the world stage will amount to, and can they overcome some of those obstacles that a newer team might run into here on the international stage?
They've been learning incredibly fast. We'll see if they can take that to the world stage and really develop.
All right, well, as we round out the groups discussion, let's check out some players that we expect will leave their mark on the group stage. Here is our Best of the Rift, brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. We have Longjuice Khan, C9 Contracts, RNG Xiaohu, as well as some familiar faces in Reckless and Sword Art of Fnatic and the Flash Wolves.
Yeah, Fnatic's Reckless, a huge fan favorite in Europe. He is the Summer Split MVP and has an insane amount of regional dominance there.
I mean, I'm going to stick to Unsung Hero Sword Art, though. I know everyone is tired of hearing Maple Car, so we've touted their story all over this desk. Sword Art is the true carry of Flash Wolves this split. He is having an unreal summer.
Those are the familiar faces. Let's talk about some of the unfamiliar. Papa Smithy?
I mean, Khan is really the word that was on everyone's lips when you were watching the LCK this year. Your eyes were glued to the top laner of Longjuice, and his consistency to play carries upon carries, to have a team with Prey and Gorilla build around a new top laner to the LCK. Sure, he played a single split in 2014 on Prime Optimus, but he wasn't renowned, certainly, to come back 3 years later and be this dominant force, potentially the player to watch at Worlds. It's amazing.
And the team also deserves a lot of credit for enabling him, for playing around him, controlling vision, showing up for 2v2s, and he really does make it worthwhile. But talking about another player who is newer in his rookie year, Contracts, he was the spring rookie of the split, and he has developed so much from them. He has been improving by leaps and bounds, one of the best junglers from North America, and so important to the style that Cloud9 plays with Jensen and this mid lane focus. He is the guy who is enabling him through vision control, through early visits, and the sky is the limit for this player.
And we really saw that in play-ins. You know, he had his famous Nidalee game. He put up huge numbers of that. But that said, last but not least, it is Xiaohu up in that mid lane. And I just have to emphasize how important this guy. On a roster with Uzi, Xiaohu is the true shining light here. He allows them to play their dominating, defining style of a 1-3-1. He can play the assassins, he can play the control mages. But again, it's about how he opens up the edges of the map and he starts pulling the teams around, creating these opportunities where RNG will find picks, find team fights, find victory.
And his consistency was kind of a counterpoint to how much roster turmoil there was over the course of the year with RNG. So he was the bedrock upon which all their success was built. They didn't quite get over the line in the final, but with the fan support they have here, who knows what could happen.
We will see what these players can do as we kick off the group stage here in Wuhan. From First Blood till the Nexus explodes, you can follow Best of the Rift in more places than ever before. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Now the road to the Summoners Cup continues today with 6 best-of-1, starting with the LPL's Royal Never Give Up, taking on 1907 Fenerbahçe. From there, we have one more clash in Group C between Samsung Galaxy and G2, before the teams in Group B and A step on stage for the first time. Looking at these 6 games today, what jumps out to you?
I'm so excited for G2 versus Samsung right off the bat. This is going to tell you so much about that group, which is extremely competitive. If G2 can win out there, the hopes are going to get pretty high.
And I'm a man that looks at history, and SKT versus C9, it happens again. You get the top lane with Impact once again.
The clapping round 2.
The clapping in the mid lane, like you say.
No warm-up. You got to go. Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Some games to look forward to over the next few weeks. We're going to see a lot of action and want to know what makes your highlight reel. So hit us up at LOL Esports and send us your big plays using that hashtag Worlds2017. It's time to get the group stage underway, so let's hand it over to our casters to get us into the day's games. Guys, take it away.
Thank you very much, Dash, and welcome everyone to our first clash in the 2017 Worlds Group Stage. I'm Rivian DeBizin III, joined here by Joshua Jat Leesman and the ever-beautiful Martin DeFicio, along to analyze this game. I'm with them every day. It's good to see you, but it's awesome to be back together on the TriCast. Groups continues, or it begins, Worlds continues, and the extravaganza is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think I speak for all of us when I say it's Worlds, and it brings a certain level of hype to it when you finally get to see the group stage get underway, right? We've seen 12 of these teams who weren't in the play-in stage. The best of the best from all the regions are going to 12 of the teams are playing today.
And we've been sitting here for the last few weeks after the group draw, just thinking about every single group, what outcome, who's going to beat who, which region is overhyped, which region do not talk enough about. Finally, we get the games on the way, and we can actually see how the teams are performing.
And as you know, the wait is almost over. as we are moments away from the first game between Royal Never Give Up and 1907 Fenerbahçe. Let's take a look at the starting lineups with RNG, Royal Never Give Up on the blue side. That top lane is going to be Letme. You'll see Mlxg roaming around in the jungle. Mid lane Xiaohu, AD carry Uzi, support Ming, and coach Firefox.
Yeah, and on the other side of the rift, we have the underdogs in this group. 1907 Fenerbahçe. We got Thaldrin in the top lane, Crash in the jungle. The emergency sub had to come in for move. We have Frozen in the mid lane, Padden in bot, and Japone the support.
We'll see what these guys have coming in. They've shown through play-ins. It's going to be tough. 1907 Fenerbahçe put on a solid performance in that play-in stage, but they do face some tough opponents as we see now coming into the next 2 weeks, starting with the second seed from the LPL. It's going to be a good one.
It will be a good one, and I actually think this is a fine start for Fenerbahçe because, as you know, the only team who wasn't from one of the big major regions who made it through, they showed like really good individual moments where Padden could shine in late game team fights, Frozen could get ahead in the early game. RNG is the kind of team that will give you these like big sloppy team fights, especially later on. There is a chance for Fenerbahçe to take advantages there.
Exactly, and they've already gone through a lot to get here, but that's not to say they aren't huge underdogs in this group. They definitely are. So they got a lot of Baron steals coming through. They need to be able to get to the late game team fights with a close gold lead, and at that point, anything can happen because they have very good players on that team.
And while we talk about 1907 Fenerbahçe kind of being newcomers to this world stage, you can't forget that RNG have so much experience in their lineup, and they are however, some of the new faces on the team that made it to the quarterfinals last year.
Obviously, a year ago, we had people like Mata on this lineup. We had Looper as well. They are gone. They have not been with RNG for a full year. They're obviously playing in LCK on KT side for Mata. Looper is over in North America with you guys. But on this team instead now, you have Ming and Letme. Ming down in the support role is one of my favorite players to watch in the LPL right now. He's still such a young player, but he's aggressive in his playstyle with Uzi. He's fantastic in team fights on these different tanks he can play. And I really want to see him and Uzi on this big stage here because we know Uzi will show up. Ming needs to follow him and make sure they can win that 2v2 bot lane.
Yeah, and it's so interesting as well. I want to emphasize that this is an all-Chinese roster here for RNG because after almost every LPL team took on Korean imports several years ago, they have decided against it for the communication and the team play.
And now we also have this RNG lineup where we will talk a lot about Uzi. We just talked about Ming, but
absolutely,
we need to talk about Xiaohu in the mid lane. Like, he was the highest rated Chinese player on our top 20 list coming into this tournament here. He's become a superstar for RNG.
Yeah, as an individual contributor, he was the MVP of the LPL. So this guy has been performing on such a high level. Uzi is the star. He's the fan favorite. He's the one everyone looks to, but it's very much a two-carry game. And they have two of the best carries, which is part of why they are so successful.
I think when it comes to my mind is the way Deft and Pawn used to work. One would be heavy in the early game, the other would fly under the radar, and then you kind of come into late game. It's kind of what Uzi can do on late game AD carry scaling, and Xiaohu can do pretty much throughout the game is what he's shown this season.
And when you have two like superstar carries, you obviously need a lot of players around them to help these carries. You can't just have 5 players who all want to win the game on their own. So when you have Ming, you have Letme, like their job together with Mlxg, the jungler, is to get Uzi and Xiaohu ahead. Mlxg is the kind of jungler who will sacrifice himself, skip jungle camps to just play super aggressive in the early game. Gank, gank, gank. Level 2, he's in the mid lane. Level 3, he's in the bot lane. Level 4, he's back in the mid lane. And you don't even know what's happening. He's just constantly being aggressive.
Yeah, and I love watching Mlxg and tracking him in the early game because
so many questions.
He puts more emphasis on getting first blood at all costs than any other jungler. And he's very good at it. He has a higher first blood percentage than any other jungler at Worlds. So it is on Crash to try and help the team know where he is. But that's going to be a problem for Fenerbahçe because Crash doesn't speak the same language as this team. They have communication issues since they've had to use him as the substitute right here. So that's even more in the advantage of Mlxg to create chaos in the early game.
And before Fenerbahçe played with Crash, they obviously had Move in the jungle, and it was very focused on going to the late game. Don't make too many risky plays early on. They had to change that style during play-ins, and against RNG, they will not be allowed to try and just go late game. They will have to try and match early on. That's a big concern as well. Padden in the laning phase is not the strongest. Good late game team fights, we got to give him that credit, but he's playing against Uzi and Ming down in that bottom lane, and you can't fall too far behind.
Nope. We also see that a lot of what Fenerbahçe's wins come from was those Barons getting 4 steals within the stages of play-in to kind of get themselves escalated to this point. That's not going to happen as much as 4 times here in the group stage.
Man, let me tell you, there were way too many Baron steals in the play-in stage from what I feel like
stole them,
Jungler
stole them.
But with that being said, there's a lot of stuff that can spike Baron very hard right now with Cho'Gath in the game, Kallistas in the game. It gets very volatile in that area. But here we go, first pick and ban of World's group stage.
And we will see junglers hit up right in the beginning. Kalista as well. Expect to see that throughout Worlds on that ban bench.
Yeah, exactly. Like, each role right now, except for mid lane, have 2 to 3 picks that everyone is looking at. Mid lane is very open. There's a lot of different things you can play, but in the jungle, you look at Gragas, Sejuani, Jarvan in almost every single game. And AD carry, Kalista has to be banned.
And the added element in this matchup as well is that Fenerbahçe has already played a bunch of games in play-in, so Royal Never Give Up has seen exactly what their preferences are on this patch. The most apparent preference was Crash on Gragas. Sejuani has been mostly permabanned. Gragas is what has been picked by Crash almost every time, and since RNG has first pick, they forced Fenerbahçe to ban Sejuani.
And now I want to see if RNG wants to play Ardent Sensor meta, because Lulu, Janna are super, super popular here among the pro teams. Go for late game and just rely on your AD carry to win the games is something we will see very often. Both Lulu and Janna are available in this draft, but RNG are going with the Rek'Sai first pick. This is definitely not something you guys will see from a lot of teams, and it's very specific now for RNG and Mlxg here in the first game of the group stages.
A lot of junglers don't even have Rek'Sai within the past few weeks to 3-4 a month in their game, so very interesting there. Thaldrin picks up the Lulu, a possible Nidalee there. Crash having some decent mechanics on these types of champions, but it's still a risky pick.
Yeah, it's very required to do well in the early game here for Crash, but at the same time, 1907 Fenerbahçe has had more success allowing Crash to play his style, and that is something that Nidalee is definitely capable of doing.
And the smart thing we see here as well.
Does that answer your question, Deficio?
We do get Ardent Sensor here from RNG. Same thing over for 1907 Fenerbahçe. Taking Lulu above Janna is the smart choice because Lulu can beat Janna in the laning phase and still have the Ardent Sensor for late game. That's why they're going for that choice. We get full-on late game, though, from RNG's bottom lane now.
Exactly. Tristana still on the table, but they opt for the Kog'Maw, and this is a very LPL preference. Kog'Maw is more highly valued in the LPL than it is in probably any other region, so we get to see them building already around the shields, Ardent Sensor, and Uzi's Kog'Maw.
And we should see a lot more of that from other teams as well, because in a team fighting meta where you buff up the AD carry, having a hyper carry that can shred tanks, well, that will obviously be super valuable, because when you have Ardent Sensor supports fighting each other, both team comps are focused on killing the tank from each team. Well, who wins? Probably the hyper carry who has percentage damage.
The Tristana being locked in. 1907 Fenerbahçe getting a bit of demolition damage in there. If they do get a good early game lead, they can start to take down those turrets. It is going to be hard. RNG looking to set up defense and scale up, protect those turrets and keep the laning phase a little longer. Final bans coming out pretty tanky from Fenerbahçe. 1907 Fenerbahçe, they don't want to be engaged on. And now we see the Talia. What else? Possibly another mid laner.
Well, it's very interesting how mid lane at the moment actually has so many blind pickable champions. A lot of matchups are kind of 50-50 in there, so you can go for your blind pick mid here for Frozen and then last pick for Thaldrin. However, Thaldrin is more like he's playing a lot of different tanks. Going for something like a Maokai blind and then actually let Frozen last pick. We know he can play things like Echo, might be more valuable for 1907 Fenerbahçe.
Yeah, we did see Thaldrin look his best on Maokai, so that is the pick for 1907 Fenerbahçe. And the question for RNG now is, how do they round out the rest of their team composition? They get the blind pick mid, so to speak, with Syndra still being on the table, has been the highest priority mid laner on this patch at Worlds Play.
Yeah, LeBlanc is also available. Like, so few things will actually kill you in lane then, and you get quite a lot of pressure from that side with Xiaohu, and you have already Rek'Sai to gank with. So LeBlanc would definitely work for RNG as well. But yeah, you said Syndra, Orianna is a thing as well. Talia's banned. Oh, okay. We get a blind Ryze here.
So I love Ryze on this patch, specifically when you're building Abyssal Mask. As long as you're not dying before you can build the magic resist, you can start controlling that lane. And additionally, we talk a lot about why Ryze can particularly be good in pro play. It's for the reliability. You get your root onto the enemy mid laner as the Rek'Sai is coming in, and you can manufacture plays. That's why we see Frozen picking Cleanse, but we talk about Xiaohu so much being the MVP of the LPL, and RNG has built a composition around their strengths. Uzi on the Kog'Maw with a bunch of protection, and also Rek'Sai to help camp mid lane for Ryze.
Yeah, 1907 here, Fenerbahçe, they have to win the bottom lane. Lulu Tristana is a very good early lane. They need to pressure the Janna and then have Crash play around that lane with the Nidalee. See if they can snowball against Uzi and Ming. Winning mid lane will be difficult. Winning top lane with the Maokai is not really going to happen. It's on Padden down in that bottom lane with Tristana to do well early on.
Interestingly enough, Ming bringing in his first competitive play, Janna. I know through the summer, I believe through the spring as well, since it wasn't even really seen there. So obviously playing it, but bringing it out on the table for the first time with Uzi here in the group stage. Going to be very interesting how they go lane to lane with Padden and Japone. Heading into the game, hashtag RNG win, hashtag FB win for 1907 Fenerbahçe. And we're about to see how the team, screaming through play-ins, is going to be able to do on the big international stage.
Yeah, it's just about to take off, and I can't wait to see a couple of things here in the early game, specifically how the bottom lane will do, Uzi versus Padden with the giant CS discrepancies, but also, will Mlxg manufacture First Blood once again? RNG gets it in 70% of their games. Additionally, with the Rek'Sai, it is very good at the early game.
Yes, this is exactly why a team like RNG can first pick that Rek'Sai, because it gives early pressure. Late game is not great from a Rek'Sai, you just a meat shield, but early on, good clear into very good early ganks.
Yeah, another thing to point out about the draft phase as we get in. For 1907 Fenerbahçe, everyone except Crash actually has their most played champion from Worlds play-in. So as much as RNG gets to scout them, they did scout them, say we've seen the best you've got, and they don't care if they give it to them because RNG thinks they can beat them.
Another thing also to highlight with the level 1 items is Relic Shield on Padden. Now we have seen this, you know, in the last few months from different AD carries. Often when I see Ardent Sensor supports versus each other, both AD carries actually go for Relic Shield because you do not want to fall behind in the race for completing Ardent Sensor. This one will go in favor of Fenerbahçe with that Relic Shield.
It's an arms race of who can get there, specifically when the bottom lanes are going barrier heal. And I really want to see how Uzi plays in this metagame because he's a guy who will push you into the turret and threaten kills so often, but they haven't taken a bottom lane that can do that, and then they haven't built the items to reach that arms race. So they're, in a sense, going to have to use that health advantage from the Dorn Shield to try and get that going. But Fenerbahçe going for an invade, trying to shake things up.
They feel they need to make something happen early if they can get the upper hand here. Glitter lands through the entire team. Mlxg flashing forward. Already took damage from before. One more shot. First Blood gonna come in. It goes to Crash on his jungle Nidalee.
What a smart invade here. No vision from RNG being placed, and they get surprised by how many members show up. Lulu gotta be careful.
Gotta be careful. This extends into the laning phase. They may not be able to purchase here, but let's see how they started off.
Well, we had the First Blood question. That's been answered, and it did not go to RNG. Crash getting that first kill on Nidalee could have some huge implications coming through in this game. He doesn't have the large experience advantage because they didn't actually steal the buff, but they did get that First Blood goal, which would impact him on his first recall.
Exactly. It's about the goal for him because Mlxg will make it back here. We see the blue buff being killed by Crash in just a few seconds, but he's not too far ahead in terms of the clear speed at the moment.
Yeah, I think he'll get there, though. We know Nidalee clears faster than the Rek'Sai. But to talk about that First Blood play one more time, you have to call out RNG a little bit for either not having the right forward wards or not having the proper scouting because they got over-invaded there 3 versus 4.
There's also a move I was wondering if it mattered. When Mlxg took that hit, Xiaohu routed up to stand where Mlxg was, meaning Ryze was farther away from that red engage, and it could have had a different positioning if Mlxg hadn't taken that early Nidalee damage.
Good start here for 1907 Fenerbahçe. This game, though, when RNG is drafted to Cho'Gath up in the top lane, we know they're looking to go late game. They have the hyper carry and Uzi. Like, this RNG team, funny enough, in this game, do not need to snowball early on, despite that being one of their main strengths.
And that was one thing that we actually saw from a different LPL team in the play-in, Team WE, picking very late game compositions against a lot of the emerging region teams. And although it was very shaky in some games, they did win every single one.
Look at this one.
Sees Crash is very low, no flashes up on either side.
Very close. Mlxg knowing with the lane push, with Xiaohu coming back, they can get in the face of Crash, and they need to figure out where he is to slow him down, doing just that.
And at this point here, Crash is only slightly ahead in experience of Mlxg. Might see another fight here on the top side.
Mlxg undeterred by the first blood because he knows Crash hasn't shopped yet, so it actually doesn't matter as far as this movement goes, and he has the health advantage.
Friendly farming.
Yeah, some friendly farming as Thaldrin is in lane with full health, so can't get too crazy if you're Mlxg.
You can easily tunnel away, that's why there's no real aggression towards him. Letme with a good push on his. And they may be able to dip into the jungle here if he finds Crash once more. Mlxg is just being a nuisance so well right now to Crash's jungle.
We have to remember there are still camps for Mlxg to kill on his side. Blue buff is there, Grump is there, the Croc's down in the bottom. Nothing on top side, so Crash needs to go back to base. Mlxg can go back to farming. He's gonna be happy enough.
Yeah, you can see RNG trying to get control back into this game where they are massive favorites by getting those deep wards, but they didn't manufacture any plays, and those deep wards have already expired. So really, it's just more good news for the early game of 1907 Fenerbahçe.
Aggression from Uzi. Seems like they wanted to get some damage on. They definitely have the health advantage. They could go for a head-to-head a little bit. Crash is heading down towards the bot side to finally uneven the CS in this lane. We'll see if he can do it.
This is a really smart gank by Crash.
One hit, dodges the spear. Nice job by Uzi. Steady mind as he goes into this fight. Knows Ming's there to help him. Low on mana, but they're still going to go for the fight as they see Fenerbahçe lower.
Yeah, it was a really smart gank by Crash because the probability of a counter gank was extremely low, knowing how long Mlxg had spent in the topside jungle and would probably go back to clear his blue side. However, the execution is what faltered. They didn't have any polymorph or pre-CC to help the spear land. The spear also missed, and they actually ended up losing that actual health trade in 2v3.
Luckily for Crash, he was just also kind of waiting for his camps to respawn. He was like, I have nothing to do on the map. I guess I'm just ganking something, hoping he could force his summoner, but he's back now. He's once again clearing everything. Mlxg not been able to find any early ganks. As we said, you know, before the game started, this is the kind of jungler who can go for level 2 ganks, then level 3, then level 4, skip camps to just get his lanes ahead. In this game here, because they have so much scaling on their side, he does not feel forced to do it, and he's actually just right now playing a very standard jungle game and not looking to be over-aggressive.
Nice denial there to Xiaohu. His ward goes to waste for the moment, but it could be coming right back at Crash as they have seen he's placed one there and is on the bottom side of the map. Mlxg hunting down the bottom side of his Raptors before he heads back towards that top. We still haven't seen Thaldrin and Letme in really any action, as that's probably what's going to happen for a while. These guys just farming it out until we get the teleports in.
Yeah, that's the classic let me game. Is I'm sitting top lane and farming, and you guys are playing on the other side. Yeah, just let me farm. Mlxg is around mid. There's cleanse for Frozen, and he's very close to his tower, but obviously just getting a summon spell is a small win that could later on give a big advantage.
Yeah, all RNG need to do actually is get the summoner spell out if they then want to go for kill, but he's got to be a little careful. Doesn't have magic resist yet.
Oh, he actually gets pulled into the fight. Flashes on both sides to get himself the safety. Sorry, just the heal from Xiaohu.
Yeah, and no cleanse out of Frozen, so he still has that as the next level of gank avoidance. Also have to note with Letme trying to play this farm to 6 game, Mercury Treads makes it harder to combo a Nidalee gank with the Maokai. So still looking to play that lane very conservatively and discredit the gank a little bit.
Simply because if Maokai obviously snares the Cho'Gath and you fire a long-range spear, well then Tenacity will kick in, you get out of it fast, and you can dodge the spear.
And it's a fairly classic combo from the last time we saw Nidalee far in meta, is the Maokai and Nidalee would be a carry lane, so to speak, for the Nidalee. The Maokai literally just set up the Nid to get a whole bunch of kills, and I think that's what Fenerbahçe would like to do, but the Mercury Treads make that much more difficult.
Down here in the bottom lane, we mentioned how this Lulu Tristana lane could be very, very strong for Fenerbahçe, but we also got to factor in the individual skill. And obviously, Uzi Ming will be a stronger 2v2 lane just based on of the players, and they are able to go completely even in farm here. Uzi's not getting shut down at all.
Right.
Yeah. Have to note that at the level 1 engagement, Ming did burn heals, so it did have RNG play a little bit more defensive. But as far as expectations, pre-game to what's happening now, this bottom lane is performing way above the expectations. Looking at the CSDs in the group stage as they go for another game.
Frozen makes his way down. Remember, Cleanse is still there if he wants to bait it in for Crash. Has to try and get it below the minions. They could still get the kill. Crash comes up with another one. Xiaohu standing tall to see if he can get the bounce for the kill, but it's not going to be enough damage. He's just doing what he can. However, Japone now coming into mid lane as Ming enters the fight as well.
That's another one.
Spear is hitting left and right, but I don't know if he's got enough for the dive. They back off of this.
Yeah, Crash will land all the spears on the non-stun targets, but it just goes to show how far ahead on the play 1907 Fenerbahçe was. They can miss that spear and still get the kill.
We have to remember as well, Mlxg did trade his flash before, even actually after. Oh, sorry, Frozen flashed earlier, then Mlxg follow flashed and did not manage to get a knock-up and ends up re-ganking the lane anyway, and suddenly counter-gank happens. Fenerbahçe, great reaction. Support is there, jungler is there. This is the play we've seen before, a good dodge from Frozen, and already now, Mlxg, he's in a bad spot.
I mean, he unburrowed early without getting the knockup. That was mistake one, and then the flash forward to try and execute. Does get that knockup after the spear misses, but the damage had already been done. This was a lost 2v2 from the get-go when the counter-gank arrived after the knockup didn't land from Mlxg.
So also what we mentioned with RNG, sometimes having these fairly sloppy games where it is a lot of action and mistakes will happen. It is something Fenerbahçe are taking advantage of.
Yeah, and we heard Rek'Sai say it in the piece right before the show that Worlds isn't about what your regular season was. It's about how you perform at Worlds, and that's a mantra that Fenerbahçe has and needs to have here, because yes, we can look at this group and say it's a race between Samsung, RNG, and G2, but if you come to play, it can be a group about you as well. So Fenerbahçe have started with a great early lead. A long ways to go, but this is how they want to start.
Very nice always to go back and get a BF sword on your first back as Tristana. With your ulti as well, you actually have quite a lot of burst. Sadly, he's against a shield and a barrier and a heal, so he probably should not get a kill in this bottom lane, but it's good for some trades. Look as well what Mlxg is doing here. Skirmishers on this Rek'Sai, and he's going for Warrior Enchant. So because there's so much AP damage on RNG, he's trying to be the AD threat. But it means he's not going to have a lot of wards because he's not going for Tracker's Knife, and this will hurt RNG's vision.
I mean, you can see it already at the mini-map with how many wards are littered in the river for Fenerbahçe up on the top side. They have control of that, and we were talking about that bottom lane before, how Padden would be expected to get blasted in this lane by Uzi, but it's the defensive line on both sides. It's not really what you would expect as Uzi's wheelhouse, and lo and behold, Padden actually had a CS advantage at 10 here against Uzi, who's potentially one of the best laners the world has ever seen.
Fenerbahçe using the matchup to their favor here, but when you're also playing Ardent Sensor supports, remember everyone, you do not go Sidestone early. You rush the Ardent Sensor as fast as possible, so you're not bringing a lot of wards as a support in the early game. Your jungler is building skirmishers in this game as well. Like, you only have your trinket wards and control wards.
And Deficio, how is RNG going to make any plays without any wards? They didn't go Tracker's Knife on the jungler, and they're rushing Ardent Sensor on the support. The support one is expected, the challenging spike not so much, so it is extremely difficult for RNG to make a play happen because they're running in blind.
Also, I always like to take a look at what item of the Ardent Sensor comes first. Actually, focused quite quickly after for Ming was that idol, but he did get the Aether Wisp first. A little bit of movement speed. But he gets that shield power back in. Ming coming through. Remember, there's a flash and the cleanse now for Frozen, but he is going down fast. They finally answer back in the mid lane. Mlxg and Xiaohu come up.
I mean, there's some serious damage from Mlxg now on this Rek'Sai. We are still early on in the game. People will not have armor just yet to defend against him. So he finally gets that kill in the mid lane against Frozen. Third time he tried.
Yeah, from the looks of it, RNG really want to get Xiaohu going, and now that they have cleansed down, they're going to continue to try and play through this mid lane. Crash trying to defend the church. There's the flash.
A little too close for comfort. Mlxg over the wall, and it's Xiaohu going to be storm surging through with the damage. A kill onto Crash. He has 2 kills, but now goes down. Fight onto Uzi. Beautiful shield and heal from Ming.
And Mlxg's on the way to the bottom lane. He can tunnel over the wall here.
He's going to have a long way to fight, though.
All summoners up.
Just saying hello.
Man, could not follow through on that one, but Uzi very healthy after all of that fighting has occurred because the ultimate from Ming healed them up high. This mid lane, though, Fenerbahçe is trying to regain control.
Unleashed, not enough power. Can he get forward? He cannot. Xiaohu makes that alive and knows that ult is now down in the mid lane for a summonerless Frozen
and
Syndra.
Flash.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the key thing now. No flash for Frozen against Mlxg's Rek'Sai. We already saw what happened before here when he went for this gank and Frozen actually had flash available. That wasn't enough because there's so much damage he couldn't even get to use it.
Yeah,
see the mid lane?
Still no flash on Crash, so Xiaohu with the flash lockdown on the Rune Prison. That's the reliability of Ryze that Fenerbahçe need to find a way to defend against, and they have been doing such a good job of it for the first 11.5 minutes before that happened. But they have to hope that it isn't rolling now for RNG.
And we've just seen a clear game plan from Mlxg side, like farm early on and then look towards mid lane where you have a Ryze with his instant CC against the Syndra. That's the lane you're camping. Don't go down to Uzi just yet, let him just farm. Same for Cho'Gath in top lane. Play around Xiaohu in that mid lane. It's been working now after a shaky start, but he's now been getting some kills.
Start to focus, you know, as we said, that ultimate down for Frozen with his summoners. It's a little bit easier for Ryze to stay in a fight as such. Take that damage, a little bit healthier for the worse for the wear. Crash just behind Frozen in his back pocket, and it looks like Mlxg is going to be coming out of base for now. So Xiaohu stands slow in mid, not going to be doing too much aggression. All the CS on the map is very even. It's been these little hits by Mlxg and Crash that are turning the tides of the fight, and it's really going to be up to them to keep doing more.
And you see down here in the bottom lane how Padden is able to out-trade Uzi. 1907 Fenerbahçe needs to play around this lane here now. They have Ardent Sensor, they have a BF Sword on the Tristana. They need to kill this bot lane tower to start really snowballing the game.
And they barely touched it. And we have talked about how Padden was above expectations for the CS beforehand. They're trying to break it right now. They're sending Syndra down. He's going before Ryze. They're going to try and go for it right now. Mlxg is here, though.
You see a third. Opening up the map could be the best for them.
There's also a ward behind him in the little brush here near the wall. Letme is sitting with TP ready in case he needs to join.
The push-up is big, though. Thaldrin can easily stop that with the twisted advance as they are toe-to-toe, and it looks like this one fizzles out with just too much rotation from everybody on the map.
Pressure's gone there once again, and we talked so much about the Ardent Sensor race and how the Relic Shield could help Fenerbahçe win it, or even how the assist early would have made them win that, but I kept checking the gold, and Ming was right there with him. It's because he's gone for gold generating seals and gold quintessences on the Janna, so such a small amount of laning power on that. It ended up actually giving Ming more gold than Japone got thanks to Padden's Relic Shield. So in a sense, RNG did end up tying, or they would have won that Ardent Sensor race thanks to the rune choice on Janna, but that comes at a cost of not being able to get a big CS lead or play too aggressive in lane.
Little time warp forward, and the warp doesn't work that time. Looks like Ming's gonna hang out, get some ward clear, but they know he's down there. A nice ward placed over the wall gives Crash an idea of what's going on. They can kind of walk this one in slowly and do a bit of damage to Ming. Push into Frozen though, so he cannot help here.
Well, the next play is still the same here for 1907 Fenerbahçe. It is try and get that bot lane tower down. They got a bit of damage before. Ideally, you can push out your mid lane first so the Syndra can roam before the Ryze, and you can actually go down with 4 members to really hit that tower. But that is why Mlxg spent so much time in mid to make sure Frozen can't just freely leave that lane over and over. He's kind of stuck there dealing with the Ryze every single time. And Mlxg is down here in the bottom lane now, trying to maybe bait Fenerbahçe to hit the tower and then try and go for a play.
Yeah, 3's a crowd for sure on that bot lane play. Crash is going to actually find Xiaohu. So bot lane should know the rotation of mid means there is something bad coming down to the bot lane. 1907 Fenerbahçe may not be able to make it out in time. A flash from Japone. He says Wild goes forward to help the team disengage, and he does just that. Beautiful in by Thaldrin. He is in the middle of the fight, but is it too far forward as Letme's trying to get a bite out of Crime? Gets it with the Vorpal spikes to finish the kill. And now they're going to try to pick up a few more. Finally getting something out of that. RNG could open up the game.
Yeah, essentially trying to counter gank whatever Fenerbahçe was doing bottom lane, but then when they see Crash in the mid lane, they think, why don't we just pull off the gank? They slowly teleport in. Not much reliability with that initial engage, but they still generate the kill onto the Maokai, and they get the first turn.
And it was the second time they placed that ward in that rush here, basically saying, we know you're going to push this tower down, and then you will be overextended. RNG reading the one play Fenerbahçe could go for, and they punish it. That ward sitting there behind Padden and Japone in the bottom lane is what allows Cho'Gath to actually engage this team fight.
And Japone had a well-timed flash to get away from the Rek'Sai ultimate, but that also means you then have no flash up against the Cho'Gath Rupture. Thaldrin ends up flying in to try and save the day, but he gets low enough that Feast plus Vorpal spikes end up picking up the kill onto Thaldrin. So pretty narrow margins here for RNG, and this is definitely not the type of performance I think you would expect from a team that has been so hyped out of the LPL, but they have started to regain control of this game.
But that's also the very interesting thing about the meta coming into Worlds, where we have more of these Ardent Sensor late game comps. So even teams that are used to playing very focused around early game and really get a big advantage will have to adapt and change that style a little bit. Like, you can't have Uzi win his lane on this hyper carry with a Janna who needs to just sit back and farm. You have to then of course change a little bit in how you're playing. Now he has a Rage Play completed, he has full ranks in his W, so Uzi is going to deal some serious damage already at this point.
Yeah, and a deprioritization of Dragon there for RNG ends up netting them a full turret for 0 plus the Rift Herald. We'll have to see whether that costs them later. They're basically banking on this not going into an Elder Dragon type game and trying to win before that.
I love the call. I think getting down early towers is so much more valuable when you have scaling champions that need the gold for items. It's a Cloud Drake as well you're giving away, won't affect the scaling on Fenerbahçe's side, so this was definitely a win for RNG. They just need to get down this mid lane tower now, so Frozen on this Syndra never feels safe in lane because Mlxg can always gank him.
Yeah, and that kind of going in blind early game that RNG suffered through with the challenging Smite and the Ardent Sensor Rush is over now. Look at the number of control wards they're purchasing, 3 in the inventory of Xiaohu, as well as a completely upgraded Ancient Coin so Ming can carry 4 wards. They're starting to get some of that vision back, plus they now have the gold lead and a tower advantage.
It warms my cold heart to see RNG invest in control wars, because when you're VOD reviewing RNG, there's quite some games where the Doran's Blade and the Cole and, you know, these kind of items are sitting above the control wards in priority.
As a play-by-play, sometimes you sigh because it means less fighting. They know where the team is, but for RNG, maybe more. Exactly. So that's what we're hoping for as they continue now. Looking for mid lane, it is taken down quite low. Xiaohu's going to take the top side now. They've been moving Uzi around since the Rage Blade is finished. Now he's got the Hurricane, and they're just out to get that last outer turret and move themselves and those wards a little farther forward.
And this point in the game could also be a struggle for 1907 Fenerbahçe because of their potential communication issues. The team played most of the split using basic English between the two of them, but now with Crash in this game right here, that gets even a little bit harder, so Frozen has to act as a bit of a translator for him here. So essentially, they're a half step slow on any big macro plays they're trying to pull off, and even though in past years you have talked about the Chinese teams not necessarily having that great macro, yeah, they're the ones that have the big advantage right here with the all-Chinese roster, very comfortable in the late game as well throughout the LPL split.
Yeah, we saw also in play-ins from 1907 Fenerbahçe that it wasn't due to the beautiful late game rotations they were winning games. Like, it was down to big late game team fights and these like really big carry performances. Baron Steals was definitely in there as well. They're gonna try and find the support here.
Oh, nice flash there. Japone getting himself to safety. And it looks like the Wild Growth will also keep him a bit healthy, long enough to stay and give a few more whimsies and shields to the team. They're going to try to protect mid, but this becomes much scarier, knowing that ult is down, knowing his summoners are down.
Exactly, here's Letme as well with the right flurry.
Just had to scare him off the turret, that's all that was necessary, and they have 1907 Fenerbahçe contained right here. They're just threatening enough with their front line and back line. And when we talked about the construction of these team compositions in the draft phase, this is the point of the game that RNG was building towards. The Rage Blade on the Kog'Maw, as well as the Ardent Sensor Janna, and the front to back nature of these team fights with tanks in front and the damage dealers trying to burn through the tanks. RNG's team composition does that better, which is why 1907 Fenerbahçe is ceding so much ground.
Exactly, like, we do not have really tanky junglers in this game like we normally would see with these kind of drafts, because there's a Nidalee on one side and then this full AD Rek'Sai on the other one. But the Cho'Gath versus the Maokai, they're both very tanky here, but the extra % damage for Uzi, the Rage Blade is going to stack up so quickly with the Hurricane and everything, and the shield is getting the Ardent Sensor. Like, it just makes him such a massive carry. Crash is not going to stop him. Frozen can't one-shot him because of Janna being next to him and the barrier. It gets really difficult for Fenerbahçe unless Padden can actually kill this Cho'Gath first.
And there is a world where this game goes to 45 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like a 6-item Tristana actually has better multipliers than a Kog'Maw who's gone with these somewhat on-hit builds. And then you take into effect that the Nidalee can also increase the attack speed even more of the Trist. And you could see Padden getting some insane team fights like he did in the play-in, where he had 25 more kills than the next closest player in the play-in stage. His team fighting was spectacular in a lot of cases, it's just going to be really difficult for them to get to that point, as RNG holds a lot of advantages right now.
Those are also going to be some big heals from Crash with that Athene's coming out. The AD carry is going to have a little more weight put on them here. It was about the junglers in the early game of Mlxg and Crash, but now it starts to go more across the board as the map has spread out. Padden getting himself to safety as he does not have time to mess around in mid lane by himself. The 1907 Fenerbahçe is a little too spread out right now, feeling good.
But we do see that RNG are not running like a ton of hard engage, so despite finding the AD carry in the mid lane, they can't actually force the fight onto him. Like, he just jumps away, uses his ult, didn't have to use flash. RNG will have to bait around objectives, Baron being the big one, and that's what you can do with these comps that are lacking the easy hard engage, because you still have options to Righteous Glory in, TP from behind with a Cho'Gath, and otherwise just take the Baron.
Exactly, and they don't have to worry as much about Baron steals, even though they can definitely happen, because RNG has the Cho'Gath, who has a larger true damage spike than anyone else is capable of in this game, so that makes it a slightly more reliable force if they choose to play around that and continue to try and choke out the vision with all of their control points.
Uzi purchase as well. Is going for something that he can stay alive, something he can be a star in as well. That Quicksilver Sash, very quick coming out as his third item. And he says, you know, I have a lot of safety, but I also want to be able to play like an all-star if I have to.
Yeah, I think the main reason he's going for it here is not like because he's so afraid of a Maokai CC, it's also the fact there's so much magic damage on Fenerbahçe's side.
As well.
It generally just is a good defensive buy for him because he knows he has enough damage, and he just needs a little bit more tankiness. Basically, Frozen is going to try and combo him every time.
Yeah, Uzi always feels his ability to outplay with QSS will trump anything else. I think from a math perspective, the Wit's End would have been the correct choice here because he would have gotten the magic resist, has the protection of the Janna, and then also would have done more damage. But you can definitely understand the logic of wanting to QSS out of a Syndra stun or a Maokai route to make sure he doesn't get hit by the follow-up CC.
Double bonus.
Letme getting bigger and bigger here. We saw that RNG's longest average game time here out of groups being around 37 minutes. That's great for a Cho'Gath. I mean, we said the Tristana will get big, but he is going to get big up to that point where she can shred him down, and Letme can start chewing down on Thaldrin. There's not much help from the rest of the members of 1907 Fenerbahçe to be in that fight.
I really want to see Mlxg get some tanky items now, though. Like, he's so squishy in the front, and none of these team fights are about bursting someone super quickly. Like, you won't get to these carries easily, so fights will be a little bit longer. And based on AD carries getting a lot of auto attacks off, this Rek'Sai will only add value when he jumps in first, does a bit of burst damage, and then he's going to die pretty quickly.
Do you consider Guardian Angel a defensive item?
I do, yeah.
That's what's next. BF Sword first. I've seen this build a few times. Contracts ended up doing it in the regional qualifier final. And I imagine with the increased priority on Rek'Sai in the draft phase being about the 5th priority jungler, that's common. And there you go, BF Sword first.
First he got the last whisper, was like, no, wait, Jet is calling for the GA. I will sell this, and he's going for the quote-unquote tankiness, which of course it does offer some with the armor and the fact
BF Sword's a tank item if you believe in it.
Funny Crash now. It looks like he's going to be building up even more damage. A little penetration is going to be the next item. Void Staff if he decides to finish that up. And Uzi would not last long at this point.
Wow.
With that amount of damage coming in.
All right, Uzi's going
but they got to get to him. That's the whole story of this. That back line, the front line has to get to the back line. It's very hard on both teams with Japone on Lulu, Ming on the Janna. And those guys haven't even really been bringing out the saves just yet. We haven't seen the big fights happen.
I mean, obviously with Uzi now going for Hexdrinker, again, it's the same thing. He's looking at, you know, Maokai damage, Nidalee damage, the Syndra damage, like so much magic coming in. And those are the guys hitting him. But it's also because no one is building like Locket for him for extra shielding just yet, at least. And he probably feels like, again, he has enough damage, but it does still give Padden more of a chance to become a big hero in the late game, that he will soon have 3 items. And with all these defensive choices, Uzi's damage is not as high as it could be.
Exactly. He's trying to prevent the instance where Frozen stacks up a bunch of Dark Spheres, flashes, presses R on him, and then his barrier isn't enough to keep him alive. Like, that's what he's fearful of. But in going so defensive, I think you actually incur an even larger risk of not being able to kill the front line and getting out carried. Got to see how this plays out, or if RNG can get a pick.
It's the same deal again here where RNG are not running hard engage. So they need to force Fenerbahçe to move into this river here and contest the Baron if they want to take a fight. And then Mlxg can tunnel over the wall. Letme can Thaldrin in from the side and they can actually start the fight. But right now, they're not actually starting the Baron.
Exactly, and it's because they haven't taken deep enough control of the jungle of 1907 Fenerbahçe. The control ward that Fenerbahçe has at their red buff has been there for the past 5 minutes. And as long as they can walk freely through that brush, they can get wards into the Baron pit and safely check it. And that's the cycle that they have consistently been running for 3 minutes as this game feels very stalled out.
I think at this point you go for the side lanes, you play ring around the Ryze, you get them pushed up to at least a second tier, and you round back to the Baron.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Riv, how they have the Realm Warp that has not been utilized, and you can pull off a bunch of stuff, moving from top turret to Baron to really change the state of the game. They're going to use it to try and kill Frozen.
Flash and flash, there is the Realm Warp, they use it. Frozen goes down, and Uzi gets on the board with a kill. Oh, Japone gonna get chomped down here. Wild Growth is there. Pretty low. He's gonna use it to stuff himself up. Oh, the shot coming in. Uzi's gonna get himself another one very fast, and this is that second tier.
Yeah.
They need to start pushing.
And Padden has opted to try and race mid lane. He might be able to trade a turret, but losing control of this side of the map endangers Baron even more because this is exactly the range. From about where Xiaohu is now to Baron pit is the max Realm Warp range, so they have so much more ground to play with when they try and force Baron. But this trade actually isn't ending. They're gonna lose the inhibitor.
Yeah, because Padden is still pushing right now. They know exactly where they're going for more.
If they can take out Thaldrin, this is going to be very bad. The tankiest one in the team is actually going down very fast. His RNG are putting some finishing touches on the top side inhibitor. Looks like they'll exit apps with this as no other lanes are pushed. But what a play.
1907 Fenerbahçe actually had very good defensive vision, but if you guys look at the minimap, you will notice that just at the top of where the Janna is now, that's the only place Fenerbahçe did not have any wards. That was the one entrance RNG found to surprise Frozen in that top lane and kill him early on. They were actually defending so well until that point, but RNG just snuck their way in. 1 kill led into 2 kills, and suddenly multiple towers went down, and now they're getting super minions.
Yeah, the mid lane priority will be a little bit more difficult for RNG to get because they lost the turrets there, but I think they're very happy about that trade, and they've hit a lot of item power spikes here that'll make them more comfortable in going for this. You can see Mlxg going Frozen, very offensive build. Frozen tries to trade back, but they easily just finish him off. And then, since they'd already lost Syndra, 1907 Fenerbahçe decides not to defend their inhibitor, but instead trade the turret, because I think there's a world in which they defend 4 versus 5. They didn't want to take that. They instead decided to go for the turret.
I think they're also expecting RNG after this tower goes down to just go to Baron. Yeah, back off and go to Baron. Then Padden is in a good position to join a potential fight, but that didn't happen. Bot lane right now, Thaldrin is potentially overextended.
No flash. Just gotta get the knockout.
This is the Bramble Smash on Letme, which means he's silenced. He's knocked up from the Rupture. He tries to keep him in range long enough, but Letme is basically healing under the damage of 1907 Fenerbahçe.
Twice now where RNG, instead of playing around the Baron itself, are finding 2 members in the side lanes trying to push out the lanes.
Yep. It's almost a fake out where 1907 Bache is saying we have to get the lanes pushing so they can't go to the objectives, but when RNG could just take the objectives, they're going for the kills instead and going for turrets.
And you call for those Ryze ultis. We just saw 2 of them, 1 top lane, now 1 bot lane, bringing more members. They're getting more!
That's big. Letme just tanking Crash Low. Wild Growth is on. That means Padden doesn't have the save, but he's still trying to step forward. Always seeing Padden trying to make the move, but they may be too far behind now. The second tier going down, finds himself back to the back line, but still, they can't find the damage necessary to slow down RNG.
Yeah, clutch rocket jump there by Padden to time it with the knockup of Rek'Sai and not have that turn into a disaster with 2 lost inhibitors, but they still lost Crash, they've lost the turret, and now RNG, knowing the enemy jungler is down and their Cho'Gath's feast is up, are going straight for Baron.
Frozen is alive. He's done this before. The Syndra combo will deal more damage than a smite. But as you said, Jet, not more than feast and smite combined.
There it is. Wow, that went down very fast. A very quick back from the Baron empowered RNG. And it looks like they'll be back to play very fast. A mid lane and bot lane turret now with objective-free map. Means they can go wherever they want.
Yeah, just giving over the Drakes entirely. They do not care about the Cloud Drake since they are catching people with Realm Warp anyway. And with Void Staff being completed by Xiaohu, I think the game does take another turn, they can kill Thaldrin so fast. Look at how, I mean, he doesn't actually go down that quickly here between the Kog'Maw and the Ryze damage, but they still burst him fairly quickly. With the Void Staff, the Ryze will be able to shred through him much more easily.
Doesn't end there. You see 1907 Fenerbahçe almost kind of pulled into that false sense of security as the minion wave takes a little too long, and then they find their fight.
Yeah, generally not a good call to try and defend that outer turret 4 versus 5 this late into the game, and they get punished for it.
Very quickly though, this game just like suddenly went heavily in favor of RNG. It was actually stalling out, and there were chances Fenerbahçe was getting back in the game, but after the kill in top and then now the kill in the bot lane, it feels like RNG have just taken full control over everything, and they will push already for this bot lane tower. Inib top is still dead.
Kind of looked at what 1907 Fenerbahçe would have problems with, and it was that snap judgment macro. As soon as it happened, if things weren't going even throughout the game, if they weren't the one to be on the top side of that judgment, that snap judgment, then they would fall behind and have trouble getting back
the escape.
Beautifully done by Xiaohu. Throwing the okie doke over to 1907 Fenerbahçe, gets himself out, and they're gonna head down, or up towards the mid lane rather. 35 minutes coming up on the clock, very close to that average time here for Royal Never Give Up as they try to put the damage down onto Thaldrin, but he is just healing back and forth as well from Crash to get those heals in, but it looks like they will stay for the inhibitor.
And right back to full HP with the redemption coming in. They will take this one down as well. RNG are looking very strong at the moment. Uzi is so strong here in the late game, and same for Xiaohu, honestly, so both carries able to win teamfights for their team.
Yeah, knowing the exact inhib timing as well, RNG move over there to pick it up. 2 inhibs cycled, can still go for the third because they have plenty of Baron left, about a minute of it. So as you said, Deficio just completely taking this game for themselves in the last 8 minutes or so after what was a very slow start.
Inhibitors falling slowly, but I don't know if Frozen's going to try to get in. He went very low there. A rupture into Uzi damage would mean Frozen's out of the fight immediately. And it looks like they have to back off and get the heal in for Frozen before that minion wave gets there.
And we just saw Padden get a few hits on Letme right there. It barely did anything to the Cho'Gath, and this is the kind of problem for Fenerbahçe. They gotta kill Letme fast so they can actually get further on and get to the backline of RNG, but this Cho'Gath will just not die.
I mean, Thaldrin will, he's way ahead of the team. Oh, they're on Uzi!
They're on Uzi. Uzi gets that cleanse. That's the unleashed power. He stays alive. The shields come through.
Gotta heal.
Stays alive from the bomb as well. RNG, however, have to pull back. Padden has the damage. Padden could have a whimsy to speed up. He's only got Letme to hit, though. Mlxg could be able to stop them to use that Guardian Angel, but it is getting touch and go.
Classic Uzi. Sometimes he needs to be a little bit overconfident in what he's doing.
Mercurial Scimitar, Hex Drinker, Yarom's Fist, all of those things kept him alive when he was way up there. Barrier, heal. They used 2 heals on him during that fight, but he's alive. It was fine. That means his build alive.
Yeah, hey.
I've heard that before.
You got the inhib, so I guess job's done.
3 inhibs.
No flash of barrier though. If there is a new fight for 1907 Fenerbahçe, like they need to go for it now, basically. There are ways to actually try and kill Uzi. Look at him, how fast or how far forward he's taking to kill that inhib. Everyone else is leaving.
Wanted the inhibitor.
They're like, give me that inhib, maybe kill the Nidalee, and that actually opens up for Padden. He has to deal some serious damage to it, but last heal coming in from Xiaohu.
You can see they were kind of considering it. He's like, no, heal me. Do it. That bomb's going off. And they are on the same page all across the board right now. Terrifying to see that come through. Crash could be the first one going down here, as that is what RNG is doing right into the front side of the base for 1907 Fenerbahçe. 8-2 here, 37.5 minutes in with a 10,000 gold lead. It's just 5 members of 1907 Fenerbahçe that stand between RNG and the Nexus now.
Mortal Reminder is now ready for Padden here. He will get the heal from Crash as well to further buff his attack speed. There will be the Lulu Arc Sensor, but he needs to have time to actually hit someone. RNG, more than happy just dancing in and out of these team fights.
Minions. Yeah, with 3 inhibitors down, it's double super minions in every single wave, so they can most likely push through this even without the Baron. They're just going to hit the turrets and force 1907 Fenerbahçe to fight him. And if they don't fight him, the Nexus is going to die.
Letme tanking, but not for long. The turret's even faster. Crash goes down. A few shots from Uzi. Uzi staying alive. Scatter the Weak goes down right at the end by Frozen. They may have to back up. Nature's grabs come through. A few hugs here for RNG, and they should be able to drop Letme. He may even say, I'm going down for the team. But wait, they stay. Mlxg on the side. Xiaohu on the right, trying to fit in the damage from the machine gun mage. And they are able to tear down 1907 Fenerbahçe, where they stand in their base. A 13-3 scoreline. And the Nexus for RNG as they start off their 2017 Worlds run with a victory.
38 minutes, 42 seconds. You may say it took them too long, but that's very close to their average game time throughout the LPL team. This team took gold runes on the Janna. They played for late. They even got first blooded by a surprise invade, but still died 3 times the entire game, picked up 13 kills, and in the end of it, it was a decisive victory.
Exactly, like we did talk about how RNG normally likes to get ahead in the early game when we watch them in the LPL, but as you said, like there are plenty of games where it is all about late game team fighting in the LPL specifically. So them taking a scaling draft was not a huge issue for them. They knew, don't play around Uzi early game, let him just farm, camp the mid lane instead from Mlxg's side. They got a few kills after also losing a few early. And then we had the big stall moment around the Baron area until we started seeing them go for side lanes with Ryze and with the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, they had control of that area around 23 minutes. So that's often too early for many teams to go to Baron as well. And it's almost like as soon as we started thinking about Realm Warp, they started thinking about Realm Warp, because those Realm Warps set up all of the critical picks that gave them the objectives and the largest advantages of the game.
Nicely done all around the map as well. From 1907 Fenerbahçe's side, we did not expect the bot lane to go as even as it did throughout the game. We expected at least to be a deficit for Padden and Japone to show weakness in that lane, and I think they showed way better than expected, and it could make an impact on the group. We said if anybody drops a game to these guys, it's very interesting.
I mean, that's why I like the decision in the draft from 1907 Fenerbahçe to go for a very strong 2v2 lane to try and make sure they don't just get completely destroyed by Uzi. And it's those kind of decisions we should see more from Fenerbahçe during this group stage here, because they're not going to play other teams that will, you know, also have very strong bot lanes. Like there's Sven and Mythi in this group, Ruler, Core, JJ as well. Like none of these 2v2 lanes are going to be easy for Padden.
Yeah.
And he needs to make sure he at least stays even.
And I also think it's a very interesting meta for bottom lane, especially when we're trying to evaluate it with CSDs at 10, when you have people taking culls and relic shields and gold runes to try and hit these mid-game power spikes. We should really be judging it of how effectively they get to that point rather than necessarily exactly what their CS differential is going to be. But I definitely agree, Padden had a good game based on what we expected him to do against Uzi. It just wasn't enough.
So looking at what other games, we have G2, SSG next as we wait for this interview. I mean, I'm ready to keep on moving. This is amazing. Are you nervous? Why are you nervous? You're always nervous about this game.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw RNG. It's the same group, exactly.
Yeah.
We mentioned that
Group
it's a
C.
3-horse race in this group for the most part until Fenerbahçe starts pulling upsets and makes us think otherwise. It's going to be all about G2, Samsung, and RNG. So many people see Samsung as the favorite, and when RNG was in Samsung's group last year, they never took a game off them. They got 0-2. So far, we've had pretty much exactly what we expected in Game 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm actually slightly surprised that 1907 Fenerbahçe had such a good early game against RNG. People look at the scoreboard and say 13-3, it was a stomp, but actually the game was very even until like that 30-minute mark.
At the end.
Yeah, towards the end was where we started getting the huge advantage for RNG. Up until that point, it felt like it was basically an even game between the teams, and that is a little bit surprising to me because I thought RNG would actually really take down Fenerbahçe quickly, but obviously they had a scaling comp, so they were waiting for the right moment.
Well, let's see what they had to say. For more on how RNG secured that first win, let's head over to Shox for a word with their mid laner.
Thank you very much, guys. Indeed joined here by Xiaohu after a fantastic win by RNG in the first game. So first off, I want to ask you, Xiaohu, this is always a very stressful game as it is the first one of the tournament, and the early gaming was quite rough. So what was the key to taking down Fenerbahçe?
今天的话，你们是第一场以开场嘛，然后呢，在前期的时候呢，稍微是有一些小困难来着。你们是怎么最后取得这场胜利的呢？
前面有些困难，可能是因为对面准备的比较好吧，但是这些都是一些小的问题吧。只要后边我们沟通，还有那个 反正就是这类的东西全部做好的话，是完全可以赢的。
So early stages, we did have a little bit difficulties. I think they were really prepared coming into the match. And with us, we actually had better communication later on. And if we did everything properly and right, which is what we did, we won the game like that.
And you guys did. It is a very tough group you guys are in, but you are personally coming off a fantastic split in the LPL. How do you think you're going to match up versus the other mid laners you haven't played yet, Perks and Crown, in this group?
说这个赛季 LPL 这个赛季的话，对你来讲哈，也是一个打得不错的一个赛季嘛。然后你刚刚打得也非常的出色。然后想问说，你接下来的话跟Perks 以及跟 Crown 的对战的话，你有多大信心？
现在从对线来讲的话，我觉得对线不管打谁都是没问题的。可能更主要的还是要从综合方面来看吧。
He thinks that if it's just laning phase, he won't lose against them too, and he thinks that everyone's like pretty similar. But so it's more of a the entire team and how it works.
All right, well, those matches will be coming up later, but finally I want to ask you, in the opening ceremony, everyone was cheering RNG. There is so much crowd support for you guys. How much does that motivate you to do well this year and possibly make it all the way?
他刚刚你们在打的时候呢，这毕竟是我们的主场，然后玩家一直在给RNG 鼓气打气，所以想说，这对于你们来讲有多大鼓励，能够激励你们走到这次全球总决赛走多远呢？
说实话，在本土作战有很多粉丝给我们加油，对我们的士气提升是很大的。因为每次听到他们因为平时我赛前都会有一些紧张嘛，但是听到粉丝们的呼声的话，就会基本上放松下来。但是今天的话，第一把可能我们都还是有点没有打得特别好吧，后边我觉得会打得更好的。
So with the crowd cheering, I think it's very nice to have the crowd cheering, because every time when I come onto the stage, I'm a little bit nervous, and hearing the fans cheering for us actually calms me down a little bit. I think it is the first game, so we were still a little bit nervous. We didn't play to our best that we can, but we will play better.
All right, well, thank you very much. Congratulations. The first win on the board for RNG. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Game 1 is in the book here for group stages at Worlds 2017, and the win goes to RNG, the hometown favorites here in Game 1. But it didn't come as easily as I think most would have expected the victory to come.
I mean, that said, I think Defici really nailed it on the tack end of that cast right there. He said it was a late game scaling composition. You don't expect RNG to blast out of the gates right there and start smashing kids in 30 minutes. Yes, there were some unforced errors, particularly from Mlxg, a couple of iffy mid lane ganks, but otherwise it was just business as usual for RNG.
But I do wonder, is this going to be the tone of the group stage? Is it going to be barrier heal on both sides, relic shield on half the AD carries, methodical games? We said, okay, G2, Samsung, RNG are going to be the sword. They're going to be the aggressive team. And yet, what did we get? We got methodical. We got slow early games. And this may actually be the trend going forward.
And it's really interesting because that could actually hurt a team whose strength is supposed to be that early game.
Yeah, well, we talk about team compositions. We talk about the bot lane meta and how that develops. We'll need some more information and some more games to really see what these teams are landing on. But I want to turn to you, Frost, because when the Ryze pick came through, you slapped the desk and exclaimed, yes! So what's that about?
This is a signature pick for Xiaohu. As I said, Xiaohu is so good at playing the edges of a map. He needs high mobility champions. Talia, Ryze comes to mind. And you saw exactly that. When it was these big key pickoffs in the late game, it was the Ryze ultimate coming through, finding those guys. And that's exactly what makes Xiaohu so important to RNG.
No surprise then that Mlxg put all of his focus into the mid lane on that Rek'Sai, even after getting set behind due to that early level 1 invade, putting all of his attention towards that mid lane. Frozen playing it about as well as he could have to avoid some of the ganks, but you know, at the end of the day, a couple kills go over to that Ryze and the game opens up.
At the end of the day, when you see a comp like this, when it is the Ryze and the Rek'Sai, it's going to be mid lane priority. It's the instant snare into the knock-up, the flash available most of the time. It's a very reliable play, and when everyone's running heal barrier, Janna, disengage bot lane, this is the lane you go to.
And some of this was able to be set up by the fact that he was so aggressive in the jungle of Fenerbahçe. He's able to get in there. He's taking away camps from Crash. You know, after dying at level 1, he's the one bullying him out of his own jungle, really allowing them to kind of get that mid priority.
And this is classic Mlxg. And when you look back at the compositions, like you said, it makes sense. It's going to be the Ryze, the Rek'Sai. The only option that they have is to camp mid. But if you look at Fenerbahçe's composition, they had so many other options. They could have gone the Nidalee Syndra, the Nidalee Maokai, even taking advantage of the Tristana power spike bottom. So actually, actually liked 1907 Fenerbahçe's composition more for the amount of options that they had. They just couldn't execute on them.
And as it was said, they played the majority of that game very close to RNG, even through kind of that stalled out portion of the game. Deficio mentioned, hey, the vision here out of 1907 Fenerbahçe is stellar in terms of protecting that Baron, making sure they can defend any attempts to it until we find that one pathway to a gank.
And the interesting thing you have to remember is the mixed language roster is actually on the side of Fenerbahçe. Now, 1907 Fenerbahçe, they're the one that has Crash as the emergency sub. So actually using the Ryze ultimate for rotation and rotational late gameplay is where they're most likely to fall down, because the multiple point plans in the macro is where they're going to have the most translation problem.
And it's not even just the Ryze ultimate being used in both of those replays. Check out where the minions were. It was the minion control and the setup for trying to make that Baron play. Yes, they collapsed on the side waves, but RNG still had the right mentality that even if we don't catch someone out here, we will get the Baron.
It was interesting, though, with how much dominance we saw in the later stages of the game, that RNG put so little priority on Dragons. It's like they didn't care whatsoever. And even the Baron, really, they were playing more for the kills, for the turrets, just get gold in our pockets, and they felt confident enough to take those team fights.
Gold lead and map pressure is what they wanted in order to push forward towards the victory. Saw there on the damage charts, both AD carries essentially mirroring each other. And when we talk about the recipe for success for 1907 Fenerbahçe, a lot of people are looking at that duo in the bot lane, and that they're going to have to be the ones to perform, Padden especially. And that's a good look here in game one of the group stage for this roster.
I mean, it's
tough tests, right?
Yeah, it's certainly a better lane phase. That said, Padden wasn't really known for his lane phase during play. It's getting him out of that lane phase, getting him into those team fights. And unfortunately, with Thaldrin constantly keeping track of, top wave, bottom wave, Maokai wasn't there to start the fights to let Padden shine.
Well, game one is in the books. We got 5 more to come today. Coming up next, we have another clash in Group C as G2 and Samsung Galaxy are getting ready for their first fight on the stage in Wuhan. Before we go, let's get a look at the behind the scenes of the making of Legends Never Die.
For the 2017 Worlds this year, we created a song that has the elements that we've had in the past, but try to refine them into a more kind of personal sound to really capture the struggle that the champions have to go through to become legends. I created a couple different demos, instrumental demos of what the sound of the song could be.
He sent me a chord progression, just a little bit of piano, and we were kind of surprised how quickly it came together. I wrote him a verse, and a few hours later, sent it to him at night. He wrote me back, he said, keep going.
When we heard Chrissy's voice, we knew there's something very special right away.
Legends never die, they become a part of you.
Against the Current, the sound they had, it really embodied the message of it. It has that vulnerability in the beginning and then the power at the end.
The first time we met with them, right away, there was a really easy connection between all of us. They're gamers, she plays League and streams. Something that's beyond just, yeah, we need a song, can you sing it?
Kill the minions. My main champion is Annie. She was the first champion I truly learned. I think she's feisty. I think she's very complicated. It's not just this little girl. She's also got this fire spirit. So I kind of identify with her too. When recording the song, I was trying to think of an actual physical battle. What is mental, emotional, and physical desperation combined all look like? And what does it feel like to come out of that?
The message we were trying to get across from this was what it would be like to be center stage at Worlds with 50,000 people around you, however many millions watching online. What does that feel like, that moment where the world is watching you? What are you gonna do?
The song really speaks to the struggle that the teams have to go through. Each player has to go through a lot of work to become champions.
It really just talks about pushing through those things to come out on top. Their failures are okay, and instead of being steps back, they're actually steps forward towards, solutions and victories.
Because now